Alright, so we are done with game number 1 of the Hots King of the Hill show match. Let me double check. And it looks like... Oh, it looks like my player didn't get put up. Okay, okay. Ребят, я сейчас это поставлю под фанстрим. Сейчас, секунду, я не знаю, кто-то из админов это не хотел ставить, значит, хрен. Давай музыку чуть-чуть поставим легкого. Сейчас поставим под фанстрим. Да, так включим. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I'm Logic, and this is this SC2TV.ru play. I'm trying to word this out right. SC2TV.ru King of the Hill hot show match between White Raw and Quantic Hyun, sponsored by Plays for Pro. Check out all their awesome keyboards, esports gear, like mice, headsets. They even have some console stuff, some accessories, some wear, some attire, and all that awesome stuff. So here we go. Starting down here at the bottom left side of Daybreak, it is going to be the Red Zerg. It is Quantic Hyun. Woo! His opponent located at the top right, taking a 1-0 lead. Last game, it is going to be the Ukrainian Protoss White Raw. So again, welcome in, guys. Again, just trying to scramble over here, try to get everything set in place, trying to get all my chat bars up, everything else, and it looks like we're gonna be okay. We're up on TL, made a Twitter post, etc., etc., etc. So it looks like we're gonna be okay. There we go, and we even got some SC2TV.ru viewers watching. Sick. It's gonna be a good day, guys. It's gonna be a good day after I eventually get a nap today. So, game number 2 underway, PvZ of this best of 9. We talked a little bit about Hyun last game. We talked a little bit about White Raw last game. This time we get to talk a little bit about Hyun. And Hyun, this dude just is a complete baller nerd. Has a kind of a little bit of an interesting StarCraft 2 history overall, as you take a look and see again. Like I mentioned earlier, he was actually don't think I mentioned. There we go. He was a Brood War pro for about 6 years. Professionally played for NBC Game Hero from about 2005 to 2011. Yeah, it looks like 2011 was his last Brood War game. Hyun, and then eventually in 2011 of November, he started playing StarCraft 2, got to Masters really quick, learned the game. He got picked up by formerly Team SCV Life, or otherwise known as TSL. Got picked up by them, so he got picked up. He qualified for Code A about a month later, but again lost to Tasia. That's not too bad of a deal when you're only about 1 month into the game. As we see, White Rod taking his Forge Fast Expand and everything else. He was, yeah. I mean, the guy's kind of like an interesting story overall, just in general. I'm trying to last night when I was writing this down before I went to bed, I was trying to find the best way to describe Hyun, and it's just he's successful. That's probably the best way I want to say. Again, in Brood War, he didn't exactly have the best record. He was about 84 and 100 something overall, but he's still very successful. He's been a professional gamer. He came into StarCraft 2, really started crushing the scene. He was one of those players that played a lot of miniature cups. One of those, always plays in the Zotacs and the Craft Cups, all different types of stuff. Basically earning his money off of little miniature tournaments. Everybody, of course, knows when he played in the IPL Fight Club when that got started up. Basically a king of the hill in a sense itself. Got 14 consecutive wins as we take a look and see. I mean, he beat guys like Squirtle, Major Crank, Tyr, Gumiho, Alive, Titan, Grubby, Beyond, C, Life, Finale, Parting, and Brown. You know, it's kind of funny that unfortunately he lost to Leenock, but again, Leenock is a very tough opponent, and of course has a really good ZVZ, so not too much of a surprise there. That could have happened to anybody overall. Looking back into the game right now, at the moment, Hyun's sitting on 3 hatch, just about, there we go, finally 3rd hatch finishing up, so looking very smooth. And I wonder what White Rod's going to do this game. Again, as we just saw last game, he showed us a wonderful Sky Toss composition with Carriers, Void Rays, Stalkers and Archons and Storms. Didn't really have a lot of Phoenixes under him, and of course the Mothership Core as well. And now he's starting the Mothership Core. Basically, what I'm wondering, when I'm watching Alexa and White Rod, especially not when I play on ladder and stuff like that, I'm not facing exactly the best top tier players. I'm not seeing exactly the best build orders or maybe the most thought out build orders. So when watching him, I'm really looking at how White Rod actually utilizes some of the new units, such as the Oracles, such as the Mothership Core. Does he use them for defense, for engagements? How he uses them then? Does he use them for harassment? How he works with the Oracles? Does he go old school? Does he go Immortal Sentry all in? Does he maybe go, does he go something old school? Does he start utilizing Tempest? And that's kind of something also kind of fun to note, that last game as we watched, we didn't see any Tempest in the Sky Toss composition, so I mean, that could be a little bit unexpected as well, so we'll see. Meanwhile, as it is, Hyun just getting a little bit of a scout right now off over here at the 3rd. Doesn't really see too much going on. Oh no, as the pylon's just getting placed, Hyun's going to be able to see it. He knows that White Raw is going to be heading for that early 3rd, and maybe that's just going to be a little bit of a metagame shift at this point. Maybe we're going to see a lot more Protoss take a really early 3rd, as we saw last game. White Raw did take his about at 7:45, so taking it just a tiny bit earlier this game. And I'm probably a little bit more worried about this map compared to the last, because again, this one's a little bit tougher to defend. There's a little bit more area, a little bit less choke, and of course, if he gets a lot of speedlings right on through there, that's going to be very tough to defend, especially when we're talking about trying to pop out a Sky Toss army. But overall, it looks like White Raw is going to be opening up with the same opener at the moment. He's getting an Oracle out just as he did last game, and of course the second one, that is. The first one is already across the map, and with the charge, as we see that Pulsar Beam with the 25 energy, look at that thing just hack away at the Queen. The first one is going down right away, and now the drone harassment begins, already killing 3, 4, 5, 6, almost 6, but he's got to be a little bit careful. There we go, 6. And he's just going to get back up out of there, recharge the shields, get his next Oracle on in there, and already a very successful harass. And I think that's kind of another one of those reasons why I think White Raw feels a little bit comfortable taking his 3rd this early, because he knows he's going to be able to get on in there. He's going to be able to harass. As we see the second Oracle get on in here, there we go, finally controlling it. He could probably, if he controls it carefully, there we go, just go to the natural. Wonderful job. He's going to try to focus down with the Pulsar Beam, but with 2 Queens, was that going to be more than enough to take it down, and oh, unfortunately the Oracle does go down, but now with the Zealot and the Stalker and the Mothership Core, he might be able to back this up. Now he's got to be a little bit careful with the creep, and again, the damage from the Queens, he might lose the Mothership Core if not careful, and just about does, leaving that bad boy at 8 health, but overall, good hold by Hyun, as he's going to be able to eventually take down the Stalker and the Zealot as well. Oh, but a Queen does go down over here at the top right. Pylon at the front is in place, but unfortunately completely surrounded and taken down, so the aggression for Alexei is going to have to stop for the time being. Not too bad of a deal. Not too bad. I like it. Hyun, meanwhile, he's completely saturated. Let's take a look really quick at his drone count. He's sitting at a very comfortable number of 76. He could even go just a tiny bit higher if he in fact so wanted to, but overall, as we see, just going to do that double expand as we saw last game. And look at this, man. A lot of units streaming right on through. Good job putting that pylon down just in case he's got to worry about that. Zealots that were chasing those lings are going to get picked off and surrounded across the map very easily. And now this is what we were talking about. This Sturgeon might be in a little bit of trouble if he's not careful, but of course with a couple of Void Rays, Oracles, 3 Zealots, and the Mothership Core and the cannons, he should be safe for the time being. And basically at this point now we're just going to watch it. It's gonna lull out because now both players are just should be trying to max out, if not trying to just get their late game compositions. With only 2 Void Rays and with a Mothership Core, 2 Void Rays, and the Oracle, there's honestly only really so much damage that can get done. There's already Queens out. We see 10 Hydras underway, so again, this could just get pushed really back. And if White Raw's not careful, it might be a little bit of a critical loss if he loses these units this early. And here we go with the Pulsars, as we see he's utilizing them. The +6 damage to gain really quick, especially versus armored. The hatchery going down. He's got the Mothership Core, but loses it really quick, and now losing the Oracle as well. Beautiful job by Hyun getting those Queens down there. And at this point, White Raw should probably just focus down the hatchery, get that out of the way, and then go back home. Good transfuse right there, and of course with the Hydras out, I guess that White Rod really doesn't have a choice but to go home. Yeah, it's really tricky, some of these engagements and situations right now. Hyun's actually doing a really wonderful job, and again, beautiful job with the Hydras being able to catch up to those Void Rays, knocking those down on the backside. The Photon Cannon gets taken down, but with a couple Zealots, he should be safe for the time being. I'm really worried for White right now because, again, all these Hydras are heading across the map, and this is actually a pretty darn good count of them. If White Rod doesn't get some stable defense really soon, he might fall apart. I do like the decision to go into Colossus because that's going to be able to take out all these light units. Unfortunately, another Void Ray getting caught out in the middle of the map, and Alexei is just, oh, don't let it just die, man. Get it out of there. Holy hell. Hyun, is that going to be able to catch it now? That doesn't look like it's going to be the case. As we take a look again on the backside over here, resaturating the gases at the 4th and 5th, kind of getting some minerals as well. Overall, at this point, what really Hyun is worried about is his gas count to be able to get those corruptors out, and it looks like he's going to get some Vipers out as well. This is actually really neat and very, very interesting to watch, and as we see zapping away from the hatchery, getting that extra energy that he needs on those Vipers. And this could actually be really neat to watch and see how he utilizes the Vipers, maybe to snag everything out of the way, or maybe even to throw a blinding cloud. So yeah, again, like I said, this is my deep end. This is me like throwing myself in the deep end. There's always that kind of that phrase, I guess, in America where sometimes you gotta get thrown into the deep end to learn to swim and stuff like that, and that's actually happened to people, and I'm really sorry that have, because I just imagine that being completely traumatizing. But in regards to casting, I really didn't expect to commentate any HOTS until probably release. So this is kind of me throwing myself into the deep end. I got an offer, and I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? Why the heck not? And especially on 3.5 hours of sleep is not really gonna cut it. But here we go. Alexei's moving out with about 3 Colossus and Mortal, a few Stalkers. This should force most of the army back, and let's watch how he utilizes the Vipers. Beautiful snag. Snags right 2 of those, 3 of those, and the Void Ray as well, right under the Hydras. Oh my god, that was actually really lovely. Beautiful job by Hyun controlling that, and again, focusing down the Void Ray as well. The Immortal goes down, and all there is that one poor little baby sentry that gets taken down as well. And now White Raw supply is completely plummeted to 113 to 195, and Hyun, what does he plan to do? It looks like he's getting 13 additional Hydras. 2-2 is just about to finish up, and you know, if Hyun could press right on through here, he should be okay, and it looks like he should be able to. Again, I think there's just way too many Hydras. There's a little bit of a concern for the Colossus that might eventually roast everything to Might roast everything to death, but overall, a really good control right there by Hyun. Able to take out a good portion of the Colossus, a good portion of the units, and I think he's just going to back up, completely max out, get his upgrades and everything else that he necessarily needs. Let's take a look at his unit counts. He's got about 100 drones, so going full red at the moment. And this is really cool, and I like this. This is something that actually, I can't remember on whose stream I saw. It was a QXC's or somebody, but a lot of Zergs right now are just going to place extra additional Evos right across the map. They got a lot of HP, about 750. That's going to allow for all these Vipers to suck the life out of them to get the energy necessarily they need. And as we see, he's just adding a lot of Spore Crawlers as well, and I really, really like this out of Hyun. Beautiful play style right here, too, as the Zerg showing really how a Zerg composition should look like. And it's kind of funny to speak of in regards to Wings of Liberty when we watched that. It was just like, well, we typically expect to see Roach, Broodlord, Infestor. Now we're watching as it's Hydra. We're watching as it's like Hydra Viper. Definitely very odd and out of the ordinary. He's just getting some of the cannons focused down as well. The third is really kind of compromised at the moment. There's really no easy way to be able to take them down. Beautiful feedbacks, I think, right there. I'm like, I swear there was more Vipers than that, but he feedbacked them down again with full energy. Not too hard of a deal. Beautiful yank right there, grabbing one of those Colossus, but a lot of the units getting roasted down. Still, of course, the capability to storm all those units. The Colossus with the range is just doing so much, and now even oh, bless me. Oh, damn it. Alright, and with the Nexus cannon, he's going to be able to force him back. Man, don't you hate that? Don't you hate that when you can't finish your statement? Ah, beautiful. Alright, so Hyun really sitting in a good position right now. A total of 41 Hydras, has a total of 8 Vipers. He's got to be a little bit careful, though. Again, Alexa's shown us basically a really good counter to the Viper, as dangerous as they are. If you have a couple of High Templars, if you could feedback them, especially with their full energy, they're going to be very useless. At this point, though, I just feel White Raw is just a little bit too far behind, and then this is kind of cute to watch as these Spore Crawler pushing into sense. A lot of these Spore Crawlers are soaking up a lot of this damage. Now, with the charge lots, the Hydras are in a little bit of danger. Beautiful yank right there, getting those units up to the front, but until he gets a good enough composition there, okay, never mind. There's the additional Hydras. They catch up and catch all those inked units. The poor Archon's completely lonely. The Colossus should go down as well. The Hydras are just a little bit too quick in this game for him to be able to run away from. And we're just going to watch basically as Hyun plays mono battles at the moment. And oh my god, this is so awesome by Hyun. He's utilizing the Spore Crawlers that he walked across the map. I thought he might have just Spore Crawler pushed him, but he's just utilizing this as a mobile mobile mana bank for mobile energy bank, I guess, for Hyun, man. This is I'm trying. Oh, he even yanked the mushroom core. He yanks another one. Oh my god, what the heck am I watching right now? This is so sick. Freaking love this from White Raw. I'm actually so entertained right now at the moment watching this. I was trying to make some offshore drilling joke right now, but yeah, I don't know how that's gonna exactly work. I'm like, he's got some of the offshore spores walking around the map. He's drilling. Not sure how some of the environmentalists are going to be okay with that. More yanking going on right now at the moment. And this is just, you know, for somebody that's watched and played Wings of Liberty for 2.5 years or more, watching these Vipers just yank units is freaking hilarious. And there we go. Finally, we see the GG well played coming out from White Raw. More GG, more skill, and we are tied up 1-1 in this best of 9, guys. Oh, that's pretty hilarious. So we're all tied up 1-1, guys. Don't go anywhere. We're putting on a little bit of music. We'll continue with this best of 9 King of the Hill show match, presented to you by sc2tv.ru and plays4.pro. Yeah, don't go anywhere.
was staring at me. I woke up and wasn't no one there. Wasn't no one there. Yeah. Same song to a different beat. There's really sometimes I feel like I'm the only one here. I guess nobody cares. Hey, but everything's good till it goes bad. And you won't tell all the people about the fun you used to have. It hurts when it don't last. No easy way saying bye. So I'ma spread my wings, head for the sky. And I fly so low. 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 And I am tired of being tired and dealing with your BS, all the while supplying the money for your request. Without me, you're a dime, but with me, you're $1.50. Ha! I could get another one quickly, but I'd rather wait it out. Take the broken pieces, try and fix it, or you can let your pride overweigh the right decision, and I'll be in the sky. You can pay your boy a visit. Bye. I had a dream that the whole world was staring at me. I woke up and wasn't no one there. Wasn't no one there. Yeah. Same song to a different beat. There's really sometimes I feel like I'm the only one here. I guess nobody cares. Hey, but everything's good till it goes bad. And you won't tell all the people about the fun you used to have. It hurts when it don't last. No easy way saying bye. So I'ma spread my wings, head for the sky. And I fly so low. And I fly so low.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Good morning to everybody. I am Cheesehead Logic, still trying to rub the eye boogers out of my eyes to be able to cast this completely clearly. It is going to be our show match. Continue tied 1-1 at the moment. Starting down here at the bottom left of Star Station, it is the Blue Zerg for Quantic. It is Hyun, who's a complete dominant monster, and of course his opponent at the top right side of the map, dropping that last game to some really funny yanks and pulls. It is White Raw, our red Protoss, Mr. Special Tactics himself, all the way from Ukraine. So again, I want to welcome you guys in. If you guys are just tuning in and are wondering, hey Cheesehead, what the hell is going on, man? What the hell is going on? You're casting Heart of Swarm. You haven't done that yet. Who are these guys? Well, first of all, if you don't know who White Raw is, you need to check yourself before you wreck yourself. But other than that, and especially if you don't know Hyun, you should probably just like take a day off and like start like reading about StarCraft and history and results and stuff like that to figure out who everybody is. But I could definitely help everybody out with that. First of all, again, this is organized by sc2tv.ru, sponsored technically by place4.pro. If you guys haven't checked it out, just put that in, place the number 4.pro. They got a lot of really neat stuff. I actually was able to check them out. It is a Russian website in regards to where you can check out all their keyboards, mice, headsets, all their esports gear and swag. Plus they also got some attire, some console stuff from what I saw, and also I think some additional stuff as well. So I'm sure to check them out, man. They're tossing out $100 each week that they do this Heart of the Swarm King of the Hill show match. And again, the cool thing is this is King of the Hill. It's been going on for 5 weeks now. This is the 5th week, actually. Week 1, Demaga and Abwehr played, was 5-0. Demaga then, I think, played Turk after that, won 5-4. I don't think Demaga was able to show up to the next one, so basically Hyun replaced him, and that's kind of a thing you don't want to do, you know. That's probably actually in regards to like King of the Hills and in regards to all of that. That's probably got to be one of the biggest worries of everybody's when Hyun is named, because this dude is like a mini cup, mini tournament King of the Hill champ. I don't know why he performs so well in those scenarios, but he just starts, as we saw with like IPL Fight Club, he just keeps winning these show matches. He was currently doing a wonderful job with the GD Studio Hot show matches as well. But yeah, I mean, basically catching up. He played Turk, he beat him 5-2. Last week he beat Titan 5-1 in the SC2TV.ru one. Then fast forward a little bit to the GD Studio one, sponsored by like Apollo and everybody else, casted over there. When he first started out, he got brought into day number 2. He beat Ghoster 2-0, he beat Supernova, so had a little bit of a short day, but overall showed dominance. Day 3, He beat 4G. He beat 4GG 2-1. He beat Sase 2-1. He beat Glon 2-1, and then eventually fell to pull 0-2. But overall, made 625 bucks, which is not too bad of a deal. And also having to bounce it back and forth between Wings of Liberty and Heart of the Swarm. He's also right now playing currently in the RSL, the Russian Star League, if you guys want to call it that. He was in Group F with Happy and Titan. Went 2-0, 6-3 with the overall score. Um, and as well, also he just recently played in GSL Code A. And unfortunately, I mean, am I talking about no. I'm thinking of somebody else. I think I'm thinking of Beyond for whatever reason. I'm thinking of Beyond. Hyun was in group. What group was he in? He was in Group F, I think, or Group. Can't remember what group letter he was in, but he was in a group with Boom Boom, Yoda, and Squirtle in the GSL. In Code S, unfortunately, lost. I think placed third, if I'm not mistaken, so got dropped down to Code A, in which in Code A round of 48 he played Labyrinth, was able to beat him, and then in Code A round of 3, actually no, I think that was 32, Code A round of 3, he was able to beat and get revenge on Sniper 2-1. Sorry guys, again, it's just all these statistics I've wrote down. I'm trying to like remember everything I've gotten down. It's just it is a complete mess. Still so exhausted, so tired. Looking at the game itself, nothing really too crazy, nothing too special. Hyun, looking at this, he's got actually potentially really fast roaches, getting speed already done. As everybody knows, Burrow is already on hashtag, so if you wanted to get that as well, that could help him out to be able to regen and just to burrow some of the units. And it looks like he's just going to go for a big Ling Roach push off of 2 base. There's no real intent to grab a 3rd base. If Hyun was going to do that, he would have grabbed it a lot sooner, but maybe again, this is kind of one of those scenarios where map has effects as well, so he doesn't really want to get it out there way in the open just like that. Now, good work by Alexei. He was able to scout that out. Mr. White Raw, Mr. Special Tactics himself, going across the map, able to hack away at the Ling. He's got a couple stalkers as well as with him. And you know, if he micros this pretty well, he should be able to actually handle this. And as we see, it's just doing a lot of damage right now. A lot of these things are getting cleared out. And with the 2 stalkers, that should press the rest of the slow Lings back on forth. With 2 queens, it might be enough to hold, or at least push this back for the time being. And then, of course, once the 5 roaches pop out, that should push White Raw back overall in general. Now, let's take a look and see what White Raw is planning right now. At the moment, nothing really too crazy. He's got the robotic space, so he might go Mortal Sentry. But, you know, knowing Alexei, he's probably eventually just going to go into Sky Toss of some sort. Now, as we're watching this, you guys are wondering, you're like, look at this Overlord, man, that bad boy moved pretty darn quick. Well, if you guys are not aware with some of the big Heart of the Swarm changes, one of them, of course, being one of them, of course, being now the speed for, oh, beautiful recall right there. I have not seen that yet. Where'd they go? There you go. Okay. Yeah, one of the big changes right now is Burrow and Overlord speed have been put on hatchery tech, so those could become a lot quicker. And personally, playing games, that kind of one of those things that kind of bugs me and jitters me. I'm just like, Zergs can get a free scout because they got their speed, and it's really hard to stop as a Terran. But that was actually really neat. I have yet actually to see or someone utilize recall, and that was really neat. He was able to save a couple of his units and get those back home. Not really a lot that Hyun could do right now. He's trying to press on through, but again, just there's already an Immortal there. There's a couple Stalkers. The Mothership Core is doing so much damage. I mean, not a lot of damage. Again, it can't really output too much, but again, every little bit is effective. As we see, he's just kind of slowly tickling away at the roaches, and that's just kind of funny. It's just funny looking at the DPS of that. And now he's also adding additional swarm hosts. So we were really seeing a couple of really solid different styles coming out from both players. Game number 1, we watched the strength and the sky toss from the White Raw. The second game, we watched how Hydra Viper works really well. Now we're watching him go Roach Swarm Host with Ling, and as we see, he's getting that Evolve Enduring Locust upgrade, and I can't remember what the hell that means. That means, there we go, he gets the lifetime of Locust by 10 seconds, so that's actually really effective to be able to, in regards to travel distance. And some of you guys, and again, some of you guys that are not really all up to speed and used to playing the game, you guys are probably going to say, well, you know, why does he really need that? 10 seconds is not going to really do too much for him. Well, it's not in regards to how long they can, in regards to they're not going to be able to do more damage, but it allows for Hyun to be able to place them further back away from danger and away from getting killed off really fast, and allows them to do that harassment and you'll just watch and see here. Like it's a little bit. It's sometimes hard to explain until you actually see it and get used to seeing it. But basically, he could put it as far back as possible right now at the moment, and with that extra 10 seconds, he could actually have a really easy time just continually harassing it as well. It gives again, it does also give the Locust in general sense more time to live as well. So if they keep just kind of freely attacking, it helps out as well. But he does need to now set up the rally. I do really like this with the overlords. He set up the creep, a couple spine crawlers as well with the queens as well, spreading creep tumors as well everywhere. So it's got a nice little wall. He's utilizing the overseer for the high ground as well. Going to be able to take down some of the cannons. He's got to be a little bit careful though. Don't want to lose too many units. But at this point, Hyun's sitting in a very solid position. He's got, of course, he's got the spore crawlers, so he's going to be able to see anything cloaked. He's got as well an overseer for basically anything that he really necessarily needs. Now, Hyun, of course, again, still always has to be careful because as soon as the Protoss composition gets to a comfortable point in place and time, he's going to be able to move out, and with an overseer and I mean an observer, he should be able to clear out all the swarm hosts. But this amount of swarm hosts is just a lot of units coming at him, and we're going to see how he's going to be able to utilize this. He looks like he's focusing down the cannon, and indeed he is, and now trying to get the gateway as well. And that's actually going to be really helpful if you could take out this gateway and some of the forges and the wall off from White Raw. I'm worried because this is kind of one of those tense moments where White Raw, if he can get enough of a composition right now, get more Colossus out, get more units out, and as we see 4 additional gates right now finishing up in range as well, he might actually have more than enough to produce and break out of this. And once he does, once he moves through the spine crawler, the spore, the queens, and the initial roaches, he's going to have actually pretty easy access to these swarm hosts. Again, they're going to be able to only realistically do so much damage. And there we go, finally the speed finishing up. He's got all the gates available to himself. And also something to note on the backside, there's a lot of zealots over here. Putting down swarm hosts again. Eventually the swarm host might be able to and should be able to clear out all these zealots, doing a wonderful job. But yeah, Hyun's still sitting on 2 base, and that's one of those things you don't want to find yourself in a position of being a Zerg. The last ability of the Protoss army is a lot better than yours, so if he eventually evens out supply, or if you guys stick to 2 base, the composition of the Protoss should win 9 times out of 10. And as we're watching and seeing, I mean, he's just basically doing his best job and trying to clear everything that he possibly can out, forcing everything back, utilizing that Colossus range to the best of his capability. But one of the Colossus is stuck and gets caught by the little Locust on the low ground, and maybe even the second one goes down. And oh my god, Alexei's having a lot more trouble than I really thought he might. Beautiful job putting down that little green glob, but of course with the creep he should be able to move this down, doing a wonderful job. Hyun barely just has enough vision of the high ground to be able to do a good amount of harass, and unfortunately that overseer is not within a reachable position by Alexei unless he gets blink. I mean, I guess he could blink on forward, take that out. That cuts out the vision and eventually allows Wyra again to be able to kind of concentrate. And oh, there we go, utilizing the Void Ray. And yeah, utilizing the Void Ray, finally the Overseer goes down, and now the high ground advantage for Hyun is completely gone. As we take a look and see, he sees some of the units up top are really hitting him, but you know, he can only really force them on the low ground just overall. So this is kind of that point again that I was talking about. Still a little bit slightly worried about for Hyun. He's still sitting on 2 base at the moment, does not have a third. Oh, and meanwhile Alexei, being the sneaky Protoss that he is, grabs the 3rd base down here at the bottom right side of the map. And with that extra gas economy, he should be able to produce another wonderful Skytoss army, doing a wonderful job just continuously holding all of this off as best as he possibly can. Probably should bring that other Colossus down to help out, roasting all those Locusts out of the way. Again, this is a lot of swarm hosts down on the low ground. But it is a big investment for Hyun if he's not going to be, I mean, as much as he is containing him, if he's not going to be able to get some realistic damage done here at the moment, he might fall apart here in a couple seconds once Alexei gets the amount of units or the capacity that he feels comfortable with. But now we're watching and seeing as he's actually getting forced back, and there's a lot of swarm hosts, and this is kind of where that Locust upgrade with the 10 extra seconds really helps out because, again, each time, I'm not 100% sure on the production cycles, I think it's about every 20 or so seconds they pop one out. So with the 10 extra seconds as well, that allows the original Locust to stay on the map pretty happily already. Now we see Hyun's really pushing Alexei right on in. He's losing some of the units at the front. The Locusts are doing a lot of damage, and I think White Rod is kind of probably talking to himself. He's like, yeah, I think I might have to move out and go right now at the moment. I don't really have much of a choice. There's just way too much right now, and we're watching it. These Swarm hosts are really overwhelming Alexei at the moment. He's focusing down even the Colossus as well, which are basically the biggest problems of the Swarm hosts. He's trying to utilize force fields, but look at these Swarm hosts, man. Wow, Hyun making them just the most out of them, completely tormenting Alexei, and where's he going to recall them at the moment? It looks like there we go, down to the bottom third, and he's just going to go for a base trade at the moment. And this is just so neat and unique by Hyun, really forcing Alexei in a really bad position. The Nexus right here at the main is completely compromised, and I think Hyun realizes that, so he's going to start moving on forward. He looks, he's just like, where the hell's the army? He goes up with the overseer, he's like, where the hell's that army at? And no complete ability to know where the heck that is. Moving on forward with the Mothership Core, going to be able to take out all the units again initially here at the front. Should be able to have a very nice and easy base trade in regards to him. Of course, with the Locust not being able to hit air, it kind of puts him at a little bit of a slight disadvantage, but overall, not too bad of a job. Now we see he's trying to move back. Is he still? There we go. He's moving back with all these swarm hosts, and we'll just try to send back and try to counter Alexei's army as best as he possibly can. And it's funny he force fielded that off, but he's eventually going to have to go back to be able to deal with that. Now over here, finally, Hyun realizes there's got to be some reason why White Raw has been able to stay in this game for so long and had an okay economy, and finally he's able to find that bottom third base. And, you know, this is actually really tight of a game. If I had to take my shot in the dark, I would say probably Alexei has a slight advantage. But again, with all these Locusts coming across the map and repositioning, this is beautiful actually. With the Locusts moving forward, he's repositioning at the same time as well. So good micro by Hyun. He's going to be able to get really close and send all those Locusts up there into the main. He's got a lot of Spore Crawlers, which disallows White Raw to comfortably move forward. Of course, with that basically turret capability in a sense where he's going to be able to hit all that air. And then he recalls one more time. Recall me, baby, one more time. And where did he recall? He's got to be recalling. Okay, he recalls over here down at the bottom right fourth. Very interesting decision in regards to that. Alexa, meanwhile, on the backside right now, just clearing the creep, slash the spine crawlers and all the units. And now, as we see, I mean, just a bunch of waddling swarm hosts walking across the map. Take a look at the unit count at the moment. Looks like about 8 total drones out for Hyun, so very, very lackluster economy to speak of, but not in a situation where he's still in too much danger. The swarm hosts are just way too much for him to hold. As we see with the Locusts, they're just way too fortified at the moment, and it just they're doing so much damage. We're seeing as they're focusing down the Colossus. Already one going down, second one it can be compromised here really quick, but doing a wonderful job with the Void Rays. He's got the Overseer, and this could be what completely changes the whole entire tide of the battle. Again, not a lot of anti-air out for Hyun. And at the moment, chasing these Locusts all the way back. He's got to go chase them down and finish them off. That's actually a complete key right now at the moment. And there we go. Sees the rest of them. And Hyun might just fall apart to this alone. What's going on over here on the backside? Alexei still has his Colossus alive. And again, now with no Locusts out on the field, Hyun's supply should drop significantly. Wonderful job by White Raw, staying patient here at the moment. He's also trying to go down over here to save his main. That's a big part of it as well, and you know, just might have more than enough to be able to deal with this. If not being able to kill him at the moment, he should be able to at least hold off in time until he stabilizes this base down here at the bottom right side. And again, he already has such a big advantage because he's got a freshly unmined base. Meanwhile, Hyun retaking his natural, which of course, as we take a look and see, look at the mineral patches, very low, and the main of course completely mined out. So Hyun is in a lot of trouble right now. He wishes he could get something done with the Locust, but with the Sky Toss army of White Raw and the Observer, that's going to be very hard for him to do. And it's kind of cute to watch. Look at these wormholes just like forcing Alexei back at the moment. They're just waddling their way across the map. Just like, check us out, we're swarm hosts, and we're going to go send our Locusts across the map. And trying to be a little bit cute right there, trying to send them forward, but again, more swarm hosts will get picked off. And I think, just at some point, Hyun is going to realize he has no capability to produce anything really necessarily anti-air, and his swarm hosts are only realistically going to be able to get so much done. So as soon as Alexei finds out about this, if he could clear this out in time, he should be okay. But Hyun being very innovative, very creative, I really like this. He's actually going down here towards, he's doing the whole Spore Crawler push as we saw last game, but this time utilizing them for static defense. And yeah, and like White Raw's got to be like, that's not comfortable. That's no fun right now. Can't really do too much about that. And as we see, White Raw already taken the other third over here on this side of the map. and he might just sacrifice this for the time being. Beautiful job picking off a lot of these swarm hosts at the moment. As they're walking across the map, and indeed he will pick off a couple more on the backside. How many swarm hosts are left? It looks like about 9. Does he have any more waddling around the map? It does not look like so. He doesn't have anything really at home. He's got a Hydroless Den, so he's trying to get Hydras out to be able to handle this, and I just don't know if that's going to really work out too well. He just doesn't have enough of economy. Look at that. I mean, he's barely getting about whatever little gas and whatever mineral count he can get. I mean, as soon as the first initial hydras get taken out, he should be safe. And this is actually a little bit of a blunder by Hyun. If he's not careful, he could actually really lose a lot of these swarm hosts just for free. Basically, at this point, he doesn't have really a lot left on the map. Hyun getting a little bit impatient. If he just sat around for a tiny bit, he might have been okay, but here we go. Oh no, that's not good. White Raw loses his observer. He needs to get another one out really quick at the moment, because that's a big part of why he could take out the swarm host, and now he's basically heading home, or he's got to do something to head back. I'm really, really worried right now for Alexa. If he does not control this carefully, he could potentially lose this game. But as we see, with only a couple queens, 3 hydras, he's not going to really be able to handle this Colossus Void Ray army. And of course, with the third going down, that completely pretty much cripples out the economy for Hyun. We'll take a look at, as we see, the total drone count only to 21, but at least a little bit better from the 8 originally. Meanwhile, White Raw on the other side of the map, he's got his third up. On this side of the map, he's taking the far 5th. So still looking solid, still mining, still completely on supply block. So not too many problems from him in that regards. Now, he needs to. Is he getting another? No, he's getting another Colossus out. He needs to get another Observer out to be able to deal. There we go. There it is. I'm like, he needs to get another Observer out to be able to deal with the Swarm hosts that are doing all this damage still. Where's the other Swarm host? It looks like there's 2 in the natural. He needs to clear out the creep that's on his side of the map as well. Now, how many Hydras are there? Looks like about 10 total, with a couple Swarm hosts and of course an 11th one coming out waddling on the backside. I'm just watching and seeing how White Raw exactly controls this, because this is a really tight game. As long as Alexei controls this carefully, he should be okay. I really like this, that he's clearing out a lot of the creep as well, taking out whatever little advantage that Hyun does have at the moment. This third base, though, is unfortunately completely compromised. He's got to be very careful controlling this, and what he does with the probes. It's very important that he keeps all those bad boys alive. And doing a wonderful job, just overall, such a wonderful job right now by Alexei, clearing out everything that he possibly can, but will lose this third. He needs to keep the probes alive, because he does have that farthest 5th that he could utilize still. But don't lead too far with the probes, because the hydras are already there. Alexei, White Raw, careful, 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 dude. Be careful, don't put yourself in danger. But here we go. At this point, White Raw feels comfortable enough. He's got Guardian Shield, he's got Sentries, which he could force field, he's got Void Rays, he's got 4 Colossus, he's got a Mothership Core, and he's got the Observer, of course, so no surprises for him of any sort. Hyun, meanwhile, let's take a look at his unit count. Looks like he's down to a total of 3 Swarm Hosts plus 14 Hydras. He's got 2 more in production, but I don't think that's going to really cut it, and as we watch, the Swarm Hosts are basically completely compromised. Good force fields cutting off some of the Hydras out of the way. The Void Ray is doing a pretty good amount of damage. The Hydra numbers are cut down to 5. The last Swarm Host right here at the front gets taken out. Void Rays should be able to focus this third base down with no problems or no issues at all, but White Raw again has to be very careful. All your controls cannot walk completely freely into these into all of these units, and he's got to be very careful. He's got to keep the Overseer, the Obs back. That's going to be actually a very key portion. As long as he can keep his Observer out, his Observer out, he should be okay at this point. He went down to 35 supply. And as we see, he's just trying to do his best that he possibly can. And oh my god, the sentries are actually picking off the Hydras before they could actually do any type of damage, and throws down a force field just in case. Beautiful work by White Raw controlling this game. It got a probe count of 15 to the 19 drones, but no mining that actually Hyun could utilize, and now getting caught again with the beautiful force field right there at the very end. And as we see, yeah, Hyun's just like, GG, well played. Yeah, basically that's all you could say at that point. Basically, that's all you can say at that point. So, White Raw taking a 2-1 lead. That was a very, very, very interesting game. Number three. Definitely, I thought White Raw was going to be in a lot of danger as soon as I saw that he was getting pressed in by that amount of Swarm Host, the Spine Crawling Overseer, and the Spore that was preventing him to comfortably control it. And that was really neat. I mean, that was actually a really solid contain and a very solid build order by Hyun. But again, just without the fact of having that third hatch and having a solid economy, that didn't allow him to be comfortable throughout the rest of that game. I don't know. That was neat. That was neat. That was something neat to watch. So, and to that person that said White Raw lost, you sir are wrong. You sir are wrong. Calling GG too early, man. You can't call GG too early. Cannot at all whatsoever. Okay, guys, so we're going to be right back in just a moment with game number 4. Don't go anywhere. I am Cheesa Logic, and this is the SC2TV.ru King of the Hill HOTS show match between White Raw and Hyun, sponsored by Plays4.pro. Don't go anywhere.
I heard that you settled down, that you found the one, that you're married now. I heard that your dreams came true. Guess he gave you things I didn't give to you. I hate to turn up out of the blue uninvited, but I couldn't stay away, I couldn't fight it. I'd hoped you'd see my face, that you'd be reminded that for me it isn't over. In another life I would be your man. We'd keep all our promises, be us against the world. In another life I would make you stay, so I don't have to say you were the one that got away, the one that got away.
Actually, we figured out our problem, guys. We don't have enough dubstep. We figured out our problem. We do not have enough dubstep. Gotta refresh. We gotta change up the playlist. I'm like lulling myself back to sleep. I'm already on 3.5 hours of sleep. I'm not helping myself. Yeah, there we go.
the notion. Like Roy, come here, oh, with the coconut lotion. The sound of the vision making you insane. You can't explain to people, let's talk on my frame. And like a bottle of Chateau Nook to pap out. For like one when I start to rap. Anybody rockin', not perfection. Let me get some action from the back section.
Alright, here we go. Countdown finishing up, guys. We are in lobby going into game number 4. Welcome back. If you're just tuning in, I am Cheesehead Logic, and this is the SC2TV.ru Plays 4.pro King of the Hill, Heart of the Swarm show match, best of 9 between Hyun and White Raw. So down here, guys, up here, starting at the top left side of Neo Kespa Planet, as it is our one and only, our lovable Protoss Alexei himself. It is White Raw in the blue trunks, showing us a very patient last game, very entertaining to watch. Game number 1, he did a wonderful Sky Toss build as well, having the 2-1 lead against his opponent located down here at the bottom left side in the red trunks, representing Quanta Gaming in the red trunks. It is Hyun. So we are ready in set, guys, for game number 4. Again, this is a best of 9, so lots of Heart of the Swarm content. If you guys have not already, feel free to follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/cheeseheadlogic, basically just as the channel name is. Feel free to tweet at me, and of course check for all the updates. I should have this on YouTube soon, within a small amount of time. I probably will release the replay pack as well, as long as, of course, none of the players are offended or not okay with that. We should be okay. So that is the current plan. I apologize. I'm like a little bit like in mini burp mode. I'm trying to like knock down Red Bull as well, trying to keep myself awake. So here we go. Pool getting thrown down, so nothing really too out of the ordinary. White are already crossed the map, just double checking for everything else. Already even stole a mineral. Oh, you Ukrainian. Oh, no, maybe like you Ukrainian bastard. No, I just like you stole a mineral from Hyun. Overall, Wyra doing a wonderful job making sure he doesn't get too distracted by him. And as we see, there we go, puts down the pylon block as well, so that's going to delay him for the time being. And this is kind of one of those interesting maps with Neoplanet S, as you guys take a look and see. Look how actually far away the potential thirds that he could grab. And as we see, very far away. Hyun deciding, though, he's going to do it, though. So if anything I had to expect from White Rod this game, probably in regards to, we'll go Forge Fast Expand and then into some sort of harass, maybe quick gateway pressure, maybe some quick Oracle harassment. It's just kind of, some of these bases are very far away. The main and natural are close, so they're going to be easily defendable, but if he in fact decides to take a third, it is going to be very exposed, regardless whether it's this one over here or this one over here. Now, we were talking last game a little bit about Hyun, so let's continue our little storyline today. Again, last we left off with him playing in Code S recently back in January with his group with Boom Boom, Yoda, and Squirtle. I'm pretty sure he finished third, if I'm not mistaken. Got dropped down into Code A, round number 2. He beat Labyrinth, one of the new up-and-coming players that we see here in the SC2 scene coming over from Kespa. So he was able to beat him, and then, of course, in Code A, in round number 3, he finally was able to get his revenge against Sniper. He was able to beat him 2-1, which was really entertaining because I kind of watched a tiny bit last night from that series, game number 1, where they played on Abyssal City, if I'm not mistaken. Basically just showed off really good Roach, Hydra, and Fester. And again, we are talking Wings of Liberty-esque styles, because again, only GSTL has been the only GSL league that has started HOTS, I guess, in a sense. So the main GSL tournament hasn't started the HOTS portion. I'm like trying to word this correctly to like not make myself look too stupid. Game number 2 they played on Icarus, and with really nice mutiling into roaches, was eventually Sniper was able to overwhelm Hyun. But then game number 3 on Akalon Flats, Hyun just showed just solid macro overall. I mean, no gaps, solid control. Eventually was just able to overwhelm with Queen, Roach, Hydra, and before even Infestors were out. So congratulations to him. So he's definitely going to be playing in the first season of Code S and Heart of the Swarm. So going to be very excited to watch and see what Hyun does. And again, if I had to put up probably one of the top front runners for Code S, potential champion, I would actually put my money on Hyun because again, this is one of those guys that plays in so many miniature cups. He's played in a lot of show matches, so he's had a lot of experience. I mean, again, it goes both ways. It's a little bit of a double-edged sword in regards. So if since he's been playing a lot of Heart of the Swarm, he's going to be very good. But because he's been playing a lot of show matches, he's been playing a lot of games that have been in exposure in explosive territory, I guess if you want to call it. There's a lot of content on him, so opponents will have the capability to prepare for him. And again, hopefully, hey, maybe they'll give maybe a pro player will give my channel a view or two, just be able to check that out. So. As we see Stalker heading across the map, going to be able to maybe pick off one lane, but at the moment it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. Hyun, meanwhile, with all 3 hatches are finally up and running, getting 4 additional lings as well as continually droning up now. This is kind of a little bit of an interesting moment. I'm waiting to see what eventually Alexei does, and right in front of Hyun's face, he does put down the Stargate, does show that to him. But like I said, with these bases being so far away, Hyun actually, there we go, good job having that second queen over here. He's going to probably need a spore and have at least 2 queens over here at the far third, because like I said, it's just too far away to be able to just walk over comfortably, and it looks like he's not even going to mess with it. He's like, yeah, we're gonna put 2 queens here. We're not even going to deal with that. And look at this, good job by White Rock Control, and utilizing the Mothership Core. And this is one of the most interesting units, guys. If you guys haven't had a chance to really play or check it out, it's actually a really unique unit. It attacks ground, doesn't do exactly a lot of DPS, can't exactly give you the exact statistic on it, but it's a little bit of a slow-moving unit, very weak in regards to damage susceptibility, so it takes a lot of damage very fast, so about 2 to 3 Marines or a couple Queens like that could just push it away, as we just watched. But it has some very unique abilities, as we take a look and see. It's got his Photon Overcharge, which of course can turn a Nexus into a cannon once it has 100 energy on this bad boy. So we've seen that several times where Protosses are in a lot of pressure, under duress, or Muta's flying or something like that in regards, and they just pop that bad boy up, and that thing has a lot of range. Again, it's one of those things that as a Terran myself personally, when I play, I'm like, oh my freaking god, I'm pushing in with a 1-1-1, and all of a sudden this like completely this thing that just completely outranges the hell out of my tanks. I'm just like, oh my god, I almost want to like snap a keyboard over my knee, but it's kind of unique in that regards. Of course, as we watched last game, utilizing recall, so once it has 100 energy, mass recall, doing a wonderful job as well last game, and time warp, which is that green glob. I keep calling it the green glob just because it's basically the green glob, but it is time warp, which slows down the units within the space. As we take a look and see, there we go, targeted area for 30 seconds and reduces movement speed by 50, and it only affects your opponent and does not affect the Protoss player himself or the user of the time warp ability. So I think once players get a little bit more comfortable and get more used to these different kinds of abilities and styles and how to properly use everything, it's going to be really entertaining. Again, guys, we're still in the very initial stages of beta. Again, it has been out for about, I want to say, 5-6 months, but in regards to with all the different patches, balances, units getting added in, units getting taken out, abilities getting completely remorphed and changed, finally I think we're getting to a little bit more of a stability point, and of course getting a lot closer to release, which of course is going to be on March 12th. So it's I think it's going to be a really fun game. It's going to resurrect StarCraft in a sense, not in any sense that StarCraft was died or anything in this, but it will put new interest, more interested in innovation. And like I said, I was kind of a little bit worried for a little bit of a time as we watch right now. Hyun kind of coming on in here with his Ling Hydra's got to be a little bit careful. There's quite a few ground units at the moment in favor of White Rock, but more Hydras are joining into the battle, and oh my god, allowing the Zerg to have way too much surface area at the moment. Second Colossus coming on in here, but he's got to macro this back. Beautiful job right now by White Rock, now finally pressing this back, utilizing the Colossus to break his own force fields, and going to head on forward. And Hyun's actually going to lose all of this army, and I think that's a huge mistake of his. That's actually a big blunder. He's trying to get additional Lings and Hydras, but To realize that there are two Colossus with range. There's an Immortal, there's Sentries, there's still Stalkers around, so he's got to be very careful how he controls this, plus another pack of Zealots over here that's been warped in, and I think he's going to head over to this third base down at the bottom right side of the map, and Lings or Massling is not going to be the answer in this regards, unless he somehow miraculously catches a lot of this. He's got to be very careful with his control. Now, White Rod also has to do the same thing because he is coming on to creep. If he gets a really nice surround, the Lings will will be able to maybe somehow surround, and the Hydras will be able to DPS it down. But with this amount of Zealots, Stalkers, and Sentries, I think this is going to be a very, very tough task. And now also trying to introduce the Mothership Core as well with the Time Warp ability in regards to engagements can really also help him out with his units. So at this point, we're just watching as White Rock kind of, don't want to say maximizes or trying to completely go 200-200, but waiting for his third Colossus to get over, and there we go, utilizing the Time Warp. Beautiful job catching a lot of these units on in there, but not in time to be able to catch everything. And as we see right now, he needs to put down some really nice force fields. A lot of units running into this Time Glob. Could have been able to catch a couple more of those Lings, but being very, very patient with his control. As we see, just doing a wonderful job with the three Colossus, trying to harass the best he possibly can. Here we go, finally more force fields heading on down, but the Hydra's getting some really nice surface area as we watch the concave in favor of Hyun, but just might be way too much Protoss, way too much Colossus as we see more White Raw heading on in here, pulling the drones as well on top of everything. Meanwhile, Alexei is just continuously warping in and breaking on through the Zerg forces, and as we see, this whole entire third is completely compromised, lost all of his drones to the pool, and once that happens, that's typically a complete desperation move by the Zerg players. So it looks like this game is probably going to go into White Raw, setting him up with a 3-1 lead. Awesome stuff by that side of on the side of Black Sea, I guess. Yeah, on the side of White Raw. Sorry. Solo casting at 8 in the morning with 3.5 hours of sleep, man. Don't suggest it unless it's a hard as Swarm show match. So. And there we go, we're just seeing as he walks on in here. Meanwhile, on the backside over here, counterattack going on. Now, how successful will this be? If you can take out this cannon, this Mothership Core can't really do too much with the Hydras, and as we see, the Hydras are just going to basically, there we go, poke it on down. Honestly, a couple warpings could just happen on the backside over here. It should be more than enough to clear it out. So I'm not really too worried about it. I mean, regardless, there's just not enough DPS to be able to take out all the buildings fast enough. Regardless, even in a base trade situation, White Raw has way too much with the Zealots, the Stalkers, the Immortals, and the Colossus. He's got everything he necessarily needs to be able to force this game, to win this game in regards to base trade. So as we watch and see, like I said, with just another warp in, he should be okay on the backside. All the Hydras and the Lings are completely getting taken out, and that leaves Hyun at a supply of 24. With whatever the heck that is, and it looks like he's just trying to mine out as best as he possibly can, get mutas, but we already know as well as I do, with 8 mutas, he's not going to be able to take out this amount of sentries and stalkers, and there's finally the GG. And White Raw himself taking a 3-1 lead. Solid game number 4. That was fun. That was kind of fun to watch. Again, that was more along the more standard style of Protoss play that we are used to seeing from Wings of Liberty. Get the Colossus out, the Stalker, the Immortal, the Sentry. Get kind of that typical composition that usually comes around maybe a 3-base push. So maybe by seeing that Stargate, Hyun might have metagamed White Raw a little bit too much. Went for the Link Hydra and attempted to go that route, but for the most part, as we watched, basically just held on to the Gateway Army with the robotics and was able to press him in. Good force fields as well. Again, if a couple missed force fields and a couple missed position and engagements, White Rock could have fell apart just as fast. So very important that he hit all those force fields and got those proper engagements as well. So we'll be right back, guys, with game number 5. Don't go anywhere. This is the SC2TV.ru King of the Hill, Heart of the Swarm show match between White Raw and Hyun, sponsored by Place4Pro. Place4.pro, so check out all their keyboards, etc., all their awesome stuff. We'll be right back. No, Groove Shark's out. Groove. I don't know why Groove Shark's having a little bit of an issue right now. It's kind of like having some like load issues. Let's try YouTube. Maybe that works a little bit better. Bump. Yeah. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. The break is over. Yes, Jalte, what is up? Is that you, Jalte? That better be you, Jalte. I missed you, man. I haven't seen you in so long. In like a week and a half. That long. No! Why are we pausing? Ulsi, what the hell? What is Hyun doing? Wait, Hyun? Did he really? Yes! Lol, oh my god. Hyun completely blundering, picking Terran as his race. Hyun trying to get a little bit creative. He probably said, you know what, Zerg is a little bit too underrated. Time to place Terran, time to pull out the Widow Mines, the Hellbats. No more playing around White Raw, but unfortunately Ulci's like put a stop to that. He's like, no, you gotta play this. You gotta play Zerg, man, I'm sorry. I'm sorry Blizzard hasn't patched your race yet. You just gotta tough it out right now at the moment. Alright guys, so we're back to our break. We should be in game in just a moment. We should be back into game number 5 in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. And we'll find some more WW dubstep. If you guys got any requests for music, feel free to let me know. I'm really happy to play. I'm very, very open to most music, so... Such as... Yeah, this remix right here. Check this out. Oh, once upon a time, a few mistakes ago, I was in your sight. You got me alone. You found me.
Trouble when you walked in. So shame on me now. Blew me to places I've never been.
Now, before you guys judge, this is a pretty good song. Ah, damn it, we're not going to be able to hear the most of it. Ah, damn it, we're not going to be able to hear that. Okay, guys. Well, we're going to listen to that after this game is over, because regardless, we will at least have one more game after this game. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. Starting over here at the top right side of Cloud Kingdom, I want to welcome you into this Heart of the Swarm, King of the Hill. Starting out here at the top right, it is the Blue Protoss, White Raw himself, the one and only, in the blue trunks. Worried about his opponent last game, which I kind of find a little bit funny. Hold on, I'm gonna... to see how they react. I just want to see. But yeah, again, against his opponent down here at the bottom left side, representing Quanta Gaming in their red colors, it is Hyun. So as you guys saw before we started in game number 5, Hyun accidentally picked Terran as his race, and once he spawned White, I was just like, that's not right. So Ulsi, of course, paused and was like, let's regame. I personally would have loved to see Hyun play Terran, see how he would have played. Again, utilizing some of the new units as a Terran player myself, it always does fascinate me a little bit more when watching players that play your own main race. But regardless, this is interesting to see, because I think this is kind of one of the most detrimental matchups right now in Heart of the Swarm. When we watch PvT, I think it's a little bit closer and a little bit more balanced than we're typically maybe used to prior in Wings of Liberty. But again, with PvZ, it's completely changed. Well, maybe not completely changed, but it's definitely has taken a little bit of a different sway in regards to meta, into compositions, etc. We're seeing a lot more a lot more Hydra, Ling-based builds. Mutas are a lot more viable. We're seeing Vipers getting utilized, of course, some of the new units as well. Meanwhile, we're seeing Protosses you kind of fancy more Stargate units, more kind of Sky Toss compositions versus the typical Gateway Robo that we usually see. So, and again, as we saw, I think the best example of that was the game number 1 on Newkirk District when White Rot really showed us a very solid Sky Toss, but he didn't utilize Tempest, which I really found interesting. So, that's kind of those type of things that you have to keep in mind. White Raw is starting out with the simple Forge Fast Expand over here. On his side of the map, so nothing really too crazy. Hyun, meanwhile, went pull first and going to grab his double hatch again. The pull probe is getting completely figured out, so no cannons are going to be placed, so not really any compromise situation for Hyun. And yeah, we're just going to see a very standard opener from both players. Now, again, with some of these openers, some of the differences that we've seen, which doesn't really affect Protoss as much when watching this. Like, as a Terran player, you got to be just a little bit careful and watch out for the Mothership Core, because if that bad boy gets on in there, it could probably pop a couple of SCVs down really quick if you're not too quick about it. But in regards to like Zerg, because they got Queens, the Queens are already in place, kind of that anti-air defense necessary to be able to at least maybe push it back the Mothership Core a little bit. Now, this one link gets in, again, there's only really so much damage it could do. It's more going to be annoying than anything else, until White Rock can maybe snipe it down or pick it off. As we watch and see, other than that, he's going to be in a very solid standard position. He's getting a cybernetics core up. And of course, watching somebody like White Raw who plays this kind of innovative, creative Sky Toss style, it's very fun to watch him in show matches as well, to see what type of build orders he does. And again, everybody's still learning at the moment, and we're going to be still learning for quite a while. We could all just trace back to Wings of Liberty and Wings of Liberty Beta, how long until, I mean, between all the different patches, between all the different stuff that was going on. In regards to meta shifting, how many different types of things have we seen with the new maps coming on in here? We're going to see a lot of different stuff coming with Heart of the Swarm. It's interesting to see how long some of these older maps will stick around, like Cloud Kingdom, Daybreak, etc. So we're going to be learning a lot, guys. I mean, it's basically like going back to school. It's basically going back to StarCraft 101. The only nice thing about it is the fact that it's an expansion, so it's not completely like a big transition for the players, such as going from Brood War to StarCraft 2. So not getting exactly having to get used to a completely new interface and a new style, new kind of graphics, etc. So, but overall, we're still going to all be going back to school, still learning a lot. And I mean, this is kind of just fortunate for me that I get to cast the Heart of the Swarm show match and just watch and see what they do. And as much analysis as I could give, I definitely am very cautious to be careful not to try to overanalyze, because again, there's still so much stuff that I'm not completely used to, especially only played personally myself. I'll be honest, I've only played a little bit over 100 games of Heart of the Swarm, so most of my Heart of the Swarm education has been just kind of by watching some of these show matches and watching players like Idra, the Muslim, some of the Korean players stream Heart of the Swarm. So just a lot of learning, a lot of new stuff. Yeah. 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 So, as we watch as the game continues on, again, it's nothing really too crazy, nothing too out of the way. Hyun basically just droning up again as normal, getting his lair about halfway done, getting his speed as well. White Ron, meanwhile, taking a very early third as well, and I think we're going to see this a lot more because of the Mothership Core. The ground units for Zergs cannot really easily or comfortably harass unless they're in good big numbers. So this is kind of one of those things I'm already starting to see and notice from a lot of Protoss players that play against Zergs. They're feeling very comfortable taking a very early third, and of course having that Sky capability is going to be able to clear all the Overlords out of the way. Now, does Hyun go for very fast Hydralisks, or what does he decide to do? It looks like, oh, indeed he will. He will put that bad boy down right there, so getting the Hydralisk in, so we might see just kind of a mass link Hydra composition and put a lot of pressure at the third. He does see the Phoenix, so that's got to make him at least a tiny bit happy, because he might assume that White Raw is going to go for quick Stargate and quick Sky units. such as we saw in game number 1, but it might be the opposite. We might see something more similar to last game, but this time off of 3 bases, getting the robotics bait, which of course constitutes 4 Colossus. Now let's see on the backside over here. Good job with the harassment. Not able to really kill anything necessarily, but does force Hyun to react and pull back some of his units. Doesn't allow him to be too comfortably and peaceful. At this point, actually, what Hyun could, White Rock could do, he could actually float this Oracle in over here at the 3rd base and be able to do some harassment. I'm actually completely surprised that he didn't. And Hyun doing the standard as we've seen about 3 games now, if I'm not mistaken. He goes for a quick third and then double expands off of it, grabs his 4th and his 5th and the gases as well. So right after he, looking at it, just basically right as soon as he sees White Rock grab his 3rd, he puts down his 4th and 5th as well. Harassing this down as best as he possibly can. The pulsar beams with the 25 DPS per second, and I'm not sure why he's wasting it on this, but eventually does take down the gas. I actually probably would have wasted the pulsar beam rather on the hatchery because, you know, any little damage you could do to the hatchery, the better. Now the Phoenixes are caught in a little bit open of the map. He's got to pull them back. Wonderful job getting them, keeping them alive. The Lings and the Hydras are on the map, so you can't really do too much. And because he sees that Oracle and the 2 Phoenixes, Kiana's got to be feeling a little bit more comfortable than he probably is. And with that 3rd Phoenix as well, he might think that White Rock is going to be going for a complete Sky Toss army, but with the Colossus, that is definitely going to be a little bit of a problem, I feel like. So right now, Kian pressing on in here, trying to take down the rocks with the Hydras and the Lings. He's got a couple of gateways, which of course he hasn't formed them into warp gates yet because the cybernetics, the warp gate upgrade is not done until probably about the 12-minute mark. This is actually really hilarious. This is something I'm definitely not used to seeing out of Protoss players, and we might see this maybe even more if they just in fact decide to go complete Sky Toss. So the warp gate upgrade is still not finished up just about now, and we'll finally see all those gates warp in. Meanwhile, Alexei finishing up his range on his Colossus, getting his 2nd one out as well, which is going to be very helpful against Wing Hydra compositions. Good job with the Phoenix clearing out any additional Overlords on the map, so that's going to cut out some of the vision for Hyun. Other than that, we're just seeing some harassment over here down at the bottom 5th base at the bottom right side of the map. Spore Crawler getting placed though, so eventually White Rock needs to just go back home. Observer trying to run out of the way here, but I think the Observer will get sniped down. Indeed, it will. Not too bad of a deal because, again, Swarm Hosts are not involved. Decided having map control and map presence. As long as there's not really Swarm Hosts, the Observer's not going to be too much of a problem for him. So now we're watching both players start getting into their mid to late game compositions. Already for Hyun, as we take a look and see, he's getting out his Vipers. Where's his Spire at? Oh, am I having a really stupid moment right now? I think I am. Hold on. Where's his Spire? I swear. Okay, people in chat. Okay, this is gonna be. I'm gonna be honest with myself. I'm gonna have a little bit of an embarrassing moment. Vipers need a Spire, right? Good focus fire down on one of the Vipers as well. They need a Spire, right? Or I guess maybe not. I'm having a really stupid moment at the moment, so no. Okay, so they don't need it. Okay, what the heck? Okay, so never mind. I'm having a stupid moment. I'm having a stupid moment, so learning moment for myself. So I've upgraded with the Infestation Pit. Okay, so I for whatever reason I thought Spire. My bad. We're still learning. This is like if I had like a caster scouting sheet right now, like weakness, like strengths for Cheesehead Logic. He's Russian. He's got bilingual ability. He could speak in English and Russian. He's played Wings of Liberty. He's a Masters player. Weaknesses. He has weaknesses. He's not used to Heart of the Swarm yet. I know, scumbag. There we go. Scumbag flying unit, not need of Spire. So here we go. Hyun pushing on in here into the natural. He's got a lot of zealots at the bottom, but does he have charge on those bad boys yet? And it looks like he does, so that's good. The utilization of charge will be able to. He's going to be able to engage the Hydras a lot faster and closer in person, which is going to allow him to take them out. The Storms, of course, we're going to be able to take out a lot of the light units as well as be able to feed back the Vipers. So that's actually something neat we watched in game number 3, where he aside of losing the game, White Rock really utilized the his feedbacks really well. He was able to really take out a lot of the Vipers without having too much effect on his game. So at this point, both players are kind of jockeying for position. Both players are basically maxed out at the moment. He's just got to be very careful. Oh, beautiful snag right there, solid. But two of the time orbs get thrown down. But again, White Rod doesn't want to move out too far. And this is so fun to watch right now because this is gonna even forces are gonna have even more APM beside everything else that he has to do and control and engage. He's got to utilize the Vipers, and it's just so fun to watch. I think that's probably the most neatest thing to watch out of all of ZVPs and all of just Heart of the Swarm right now is just watching units get yanked. I don't know if you guys watched the GSTL preseason between Axiom and who the heck was it? It was Axiom and somebody else, but basically, LGIM. There we go. It was hilarious because he was just snagging I think it was Ragnarok was just dicking around and was just snagging random units like Marines and stuff like that off the high ground. It was really fun to watch. Now, snags the Colossus kind of up in the front, which kind of almost helps out, I guess, White Rod in a sense, because he's trying to chase down this whole entire composition. A little bit of a late storm right there, catches a lot of his own units at the moment, and trying to catch up as best as he possibly can. Now, Hyun has got to be a little bit careful right here. If he doesn't have the necessary defenses as he's getting out 8... Now, this I don't understand. He's getting out 8 Ultralisks on top of whatever he's got. Oh, beautiful snipe right there. Look at that, man. Look at that micro right there. Just beautiful job right there by Hyun catching that Colossus. I don't exactly understand or agree with this, but we'll see where it goes. Colossus getting snagged again. Hyun's doing just so beautiful right now at the moment. Yeah, this is just really interesting to watch. Now, on the backside over here at the 5th base, White Rod's harassing Hyun's base. Going to be able to take out the Spore Crawler, the Hatchery probably as well, if Hyun can't get there in time, but it looks like he will. These upgraded Zealots, oh no, focusing down the Hatchery, so that's a little bit unfortunate. But here we go, and watching as Hyun's remaxing right now. Now he's got a composition of Hydras, Roach, Ultras, and Vipers now. This is something you don't see every day, guys. See, this is with Heart of the Swarm. This is something you just don't see every single day. Now, oh my god, not good, not good, not good, not good. A lot of these High Templars are caught a little bit out of position. He's utilizing the Oracles to try to harass them, but already losing a couple of his units, storming on top of the Ultralisk, catching some of the Hydras on the back trail. And there we go, basically storming the back end of the army, taking out as best as he possibly can everything that's on the backside, like Roaches and the Hydras, and basically trying to engage against the Ultras. The Ultras should be able to get taken down, and as we see, yes indeed they are, but doing a lot of damage right now at the moment as well. Overall, White Rod trading very efficiently, back up to 163, supplied to the 144, though Hyun should be able to remax. He's got a lot of minerals, he's got several hatcheries, of which of course he could utilize to remax very, very efficiently and very fast. Of course, he's got the macro hatch in the main as well. But White Rod not waiting too much longer. He knows he's got to press his advantage. He's going across the map. He should probably just go right now for the 4th base. Indeed, he does. Goes for the 4th hatch, and there's not really a lot that Hyun could do to defend this at the moment. Being sending 1 Ultra at the time, that's not going to really cut it. He just needs to put up a couple force fields as well to be able to handle all the links. Good job trapping a lot of these units out of the way as well. Vipers are with energy again. He needs to snag those Colossus out of the way before he loses them, but instead just throwing down some Blinding Cloud. Now this is smart because the Ultras the Ultras need a close range engagement, but overall, I just think there's just way too much Protoss at the moment, though, clearing out a lot of these units out of the way. No blink, I think, for the Stalkers. It doesn't look like it knows that they can't get really out of the way, and wow, surprisingly, Hyun clears this out. Still quite a few Ultras alive right now at the moment, especially with 3 Vipers, but overall, White Rod's still sitting pretty solid. He's sitting on 4 base. He's got 5th Nexus coming up over here at the top left side. At the bottom 4th hatch over here, the bottom 5th hatch over here is not mining, so and as well, the 4th got taken out earlier. So the economy for Hyun is kind of stagnant at the moment. We take a look at the main. All the minerals are mined out. The natural, they're getting really close as well. So if Hyun isn't capable of stabilizing here very soon, retaking his 4th and resaturating those additional bases, he might be in a little bit of trouble. White Rod playing this very smart, getting a lot of charge lots and zealots because of course they're going to be able to do quite a bit of damage to the Ultralisks. But I would also like to see more Immortals, which he's adding as well, which could really help out against the Ultras, kind of just that pounding damage with the upgrades. It's just all going to be right now dependent on how well can White Rod actually control this. Even already put up the Nexus cannon up, and as we see, he's going to utilize that and doing quite kind of funny to watch how much damage you could realistically do, but you know, overall, I think Hyun might just show us the heart of the swarm, using blinding cloud to the best of his capability, taking out that Nexus, so no more Nexus cannon. The Archon, the Archon, the charge lot's already all getting cleared out, and these Ultras are just strong, man. Wow, these Ultras are strong. These are the real deal. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are at a score of 3-2 in this best of 9. We'll be right back in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. I need to actually go to the bathroom really quick. Put on a little bit of music for you guys. You guys actually get to hear the full song hopefully this time.
Never been till you put me down. Oh, I knew you were trouble when you walked in. So shame on me now. Blew me to places I've never been. Now I'm lying on the cold hard ground. Oh, you know trouble, trouble, trouble. You know what? You know what? Trouble, trouble, trouble. She go south of French to Reno. Met her out in Vegas. I'm on in no casino. Red lips so hard to miss. What's wrong with being promiscuous? And I can teach you bad things if you into it. Don't need to get intimate just yet. Slow down, I know that you're thinking you and me just met. But girl, I got the remedy, most important, the chemistry. Good girl, gone bad. Too much for a Kennedy. Some say they sell the souls for a couple hits. I'd rather live a life of gold with the perfect chick. Cause that one moment that you're breathless and you're hoping that they feel the same way. Same way, the sparks glowing off that cute face and that shy smile. Oh man, I haven't crushed this heart in quite a while. Oh damn, and I could care less that you're famous. We can make a perfect couple. Cause my first name big, my last name trouble, yeah. I knew you were trouble when you walked in. So shame on me now. Blew me to places I've never been. Till you put me down. Oh, I knew you were trouble when you walked in. So shame on me now. Blew me to places I've never been. Now I'm lying on the cold hard ground. You know trouble, trouble, trouble.
Oh, that was just perfectly timed out. The music ended. I got back. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed that. Let me know what you guys think about that song. I think that's actually a really awesome mix right there. Scumbag flying unit not needing Spire, Zerg nerf incoming. I don't know. Like, as a caster, I gotta be very cautious in regards to talking to balance. Again, I can't openly, I can't exactly like talk about balance as freely as I do with my teammates. So that's kind of one of the negatives. But again, I guess we could talk about it a little bit in this game. So at least for now, starting off down here at the bottom right side of the map on Akalon Flats, it is going to be our very own lovely Ukrainian Protoss StarCraft 2 ambassador. It is White Raw. Over here at the top left side, of course, representing Quantic, taking that last game with 2-3 deficit, but still not out of the show match. It is Hyun. So, well, you know what? Let's have a little bit of a discussion. So, at the moment with Zergs, I see no necessary nerfs at the moment. I feel like there might be some incoming buffs. I can't exactly pinpoint where we might see it. Because again, with the I want to see how Zergs technically utilize kind of that hatch overlord speed in regards to build orders and stuff like that, and how that helps them out scout everything out. So again, I've talked to a couple pro players. They've said it's not 100% necessary, the Overlord speed. So my initial reaction when I saw it, when it got put on Hatchery, I was kind of a little bit shocked and a little bit upset. And sometimes playing it's kind of annoying to watch as just a speedy Overlord flies right through your base, and you're just like, well, I can't really deny it at all, and it's getting a complete scout. So in regards to in regards to that, I'm saying for the time being, I don't see any nerfs coming in regards. I don't know exactly where a buff will though. I feel as though it's going to be more in regards towards a nerf towards Protoss and Terran, as well as we've seen already back-to-back patches for Terrans. Basically the Hellbat focus patch where you can only carry 2 at a time in the medevacs with Hellbats. So Hellion still can go as 4 in the medevac, and then of course as we see the Hellbat upgrade on Tech Lab as well. So not only do you need an armory now, but you also need a Tech Lab upgrade to be able to form more Hellions. But to clarify as well, you can form Hellbats off of an armory. You just need to be able to transform them. You need that upgrade. So, I think it's going to be a it's tough to say what kind of technical nerf. Like with the Hellbats, I would have, instead of having that Tech Lab upgrade, I would have had a little bit of a damage reduction, and then maybe turn the Blue Flame upgrade into an additional damage thing that to the Hellbats. Which of course, again, when I've talked to a lot of people, they're really focused on the late game and the potential against TVP. So if we're focused on late game and dealing with charge lots and stuff like that, since Blue Flame is going to be upgraded anyways, eventually if you're playing mech styles, why not have that as your damage dealer? And that way, when drops and stuff like that come, you basically don't get everything completely roasted. So I don't know. My initial thing was a damage nerf to the Hellbats, and probably we're also going to see. I want to say we might see another damage decrease. I don't know how they're really technically going to work with splashes. We see 2 Lings get in for Hyun. So the Widow, it's tricky. I don't have an exact solution for the Widow Mines yet. For the Hellbats, I really thought damage nerf would be better than the Tech Lab upgrade, but we'll see eventually how that works out. On the Protoss end, right now I'm very frustrated with the Void Rage overcharge, that instant charge. So for those 20 or so seconds at +6 or whatever. Again, it is against armored, but still just as dangerous, and it's very hard, especially trying to hold off against different types of 3-gate Stargate pushes, especially when all those Void Rays can just charge up instantly and take out the bunker in half a second. So, I mean, as we see, kind of that's one of those type of things that makes Kioxy break his keyboard, basically, and shut off his stream. So that type of stuff will make that type of stuff will make front page Reddit, man. So in regards to Terran, yeah, and also as well as medevac, the medevac boost, I'm a fan as a Terran player, of course. Playing, I'm a fan. I'm just like, woo! I just get to skip over turrets and photon cannons and stuff like that and fly on in there. But I feel as though a free ability like that is not really kind of in the progressive way or form for StarCraft 2. I feel as though maybe make it cost like 10 energy or 5 energy to be able to utilize it quite as much, because I mean, or at least decrease the time. I mean, not decrease. Sorry, increase the cooldown for increase the cooldown for that booster, so like make it a lot longer, because you could just boost way too much. You could boost in there, get in, do harassment, and just boost right on out of there like 10 seconds later, so without any issues at all. So, and in regards to Terran, we'll see about that. There's not really too many new units, or really too many specific nerfs that Terran specifically need. I mean, it's more of a focus on the Widowmines and the Hellbats, so and the boost. So and I feel as though also as well, it's going to take a little bit of time for players to get used to playing. As we've seen, Zergs have had a little bit additional success against Protoss and Terrans, kind of trying to figure out some of the timing, some of the builds, some of the proper ways to hold off the harass. And like I said, like some of the things like people complain, well, Hellbats get dropped in my main. Well, move everything out of the way. That's why the Hellbats are very slow units, so just move them out of the way. Widow Mines, it takes time to burrow. It does take a little bit of extra additional micro in regards to like throwing a Ling away, or throwing a couple Lings away and then sending an Overseer over and clearing them out. And again, it's still all theory crafting. It's very tough to tell. I don't want to get too deeply involved in it, but yeah, it's a tough call to exactly say what the proper solution is. I'm interested to see what kind of route David Kim and the rest of the Blizzard crew decides to do. And there we go, we're seeing the Queens just poking this Mothership Core away. And this is what I was talking about. Look at how susceptible to damage this the Mothership Core is. So you can only hit around, he's very useful when there's no Queens around by taking out all the little links, but in this in terms of this, it's going to be very hard for him to deal with. Now there are a couple Oracles over here, which of course you could utilize with the Pulsars to clear out of the way, in which he is at the moment. And indeed he is. That's kind of a little bit unfortunate. I don't think Hyun wants to throw away any additional units. Speed is finishing up, which is a kind of dangerous. Good Zealot wall right over here at the front, and that's going to force Hyun back at the moment with a couple cannons in place. Now, on the Protoss end, Oracles, something's got to be figured out about them. They just do way too much DPS way too fast. I mean, they have, unless you have defense in position in place, you're gonna have a very hard time dealing with them, because they could just fly in, pulsar you. They hit very fast, so they clear out SCVs and units out of the mineral lines very quick, and they do a lot of damage. So if they get into good numbers, or even not even good numbers, but just with initial harass, they're going to be able to pay themselves off. And look at this, this is kind of one of those examples where that Queen, if that other Oracle had a little bit more energy, that Queen would have been able to completely take it out. Now, at the same time, we just watch how weak they could be as well, where a few Hydras are more than enough to take it out. The thing I'm worried about the Oracle, though, is just kind of like it's more of an early game unit that could be very dangerous and very tough to deal with, because again, as we see, it takes about 6 Marines to comfortably take one out. I've had one of these games where it just kind of landslides out of control, just had 5 Marines instead of 6, so the Oracle takes it out. The second Oracle flies on in there as I'm trying to regroup, and then from there, it just, it goes a little bit downhill from there. Now, Hydras with their range are going to be able to take out these gateways or get them out of the way. That's going to allow the Lings to get on in there with surface area. I don't know if there's enough at the moment for White Raw, but again, with the Nexus Cannon, the Immortal, the Zealots, the Sentry, and the Phoenixes, he might and should potentially have enough. He's getting his Void Ray out as well. Now, he's got to be careful. He can't throw away too many units. Got to be a little bit careful. We gotta watch that. So, if Hyun controls this carefully, which he is, shouldn't throw away too many units. And I mean, he's just macroing up. He's doing the whole double expansion thing again, where he got his third base. Sees as soon as White Rock grabbed his third, he goes and grabs his double, the fourth and fifth over here, getting his gases formed as well. So I think we're probably going to see a lot of Zergs play this type of style, where they go 3 hatch, and as soon as they see the Protoss take a third, they're going to know they're going to have enough time to grab a fourth and fifth as well, which is going to, of course, with the extra extractors, allow them to have a lot of gas damage. So, I mean, not gas damage, a lot of gas economy for all the mid to late game units in tech. Yeah, I don't know. Like, in regards to balance, I don't have a direct solution. I'm trying, like, for Zerg, it's just, I don't want to give them any, I don't want to necessarily give them any buffs, because they're still a good race. I think it takes a little bit of time. It's going to take a little bit of time to figure out exactly everything and properly how to handle in the compositions as well, because we can't exactly look at like GSL at the pro level and say like every Zerg is completely falling apart. It's just one of those things, kind of like towards the end of Wings of Liberty when we watched and saw the PvZ games where we just watch the Broodlord Infestor composition just get way too overwhelming for a Protoss to handle. Now kind of the opposite where Protoss has the capability to go Sky Toss and become too overwhelming for the Zerg as well. So yeah, it just styles make games. It's tough to tell. So it's just going to take a lot of time experimenting. We're going to see which way and which direction Blizzard wants to go with that as well. And as we see right now, Hyun, oh my god, I love this. This is straight out of game number 3 on Daybreak. He's a Spore Crawler. In a sense, he's offshore drilling. He's going to be offshore drilling from these Spore Crawlers. He's going to basically yank some of the units across the map, or yank some of the units across, and then he utilizes the Spore Crawlers as energy drainers. So here we go, coming on forward. Some of these units are a little bit out of position though. Trying to take out this right here at the 4th base, and maybe he's going to be able to kind of flank him a little bit out of position. As we see, Hyun is basically maxed out at this point, 196 to 196, almost to that 200, getting some additional units heading across the map as well, and overlords as well. Trying to get himself in a nice position because there are a couple cannons, there are some High Templars as well, so if you can feedback them, oh, beautiful yanks on the High Templars, catching a couple of them, and the other one that had a lot of energy already been utilized. So at this point, Hyun actually could have a fairly clean engagement if he came on forward and yanked some of these Colossus and Void Rays out of the way. And we're watching, Hyun has actually shown really magnificent micro. And look at that, man, just yanking one unit after the other, grabbing a Colossus, grabbing another Colossus, and what does he have to do? He just brings those Vipers right over here to the Spore Crawlers, and sucks the energy out of them. Beautiful yank right there. One Void Ray going down, a Colossus getting focused down really quick as well. This is just such beautiful micro out of Hyun, guys. Oh my god. Another Colossus getting put up on the high ground, and he just completely getting the most utilization out of the new units and showing us how to properly utilize them. And here we go, we're watching, like I said, some of that offshore drilling in a sense, just grabbing all that mana and the energy from the Spore Crawlers. And again, we've seen different types of ways that the Zergs could utilize this. They could either put down Evo chambers, they could put down Spore Crawlers, and I actually like this in a sense in regards to having this kind of mobile drilling with him. With Evo chambers, typically you'd have to be back home or have a really nice crease rub, but in regards to this is a lot more simplistic. This is a lot more efficient and effective, and doesn't cost as much either. So beautiful yanks on some of the High Templars as well, grabbing them and putting them in battle before you could actually utilize them. Man, this is actually so fun to watch. Oh my god. This is so much freaking fun, and there we go, Hyun continually drilling away from the Spore Crawlers. He's even forming some additional ones on the backside, which of course you could either utilize as static defense or utilize for more energy drainage, yanking some of the Colossus, some of the Immortals out of the way, trying to feed back some of the units, but a lot of them are already getting caught. A lot of the energy has been used from the High Templars, yanking another High Templar out with a lot of energy and losing that one as well. This is just so brilliant play right now by Hyun. He does have to be careful because, again, if White Rock controls this very patiently and very carefully, he might be able to break out and be able to at least comfortably engage against this type of composition. Again, Hydras are not an attacking unit. They're more of a they're not even more. They are a spellcaster unit overall. Oh, this is just so awesome, just to watch how he's utilizing them. So if he somehow breaks out of the Viper contains and able to engage against the Hydras and the Roaches, he should be able to continue. And there we go, finally going for it, but getting a lot of these units yanked. And in regards to Void Rays and Colossus, if they get yanked right now on top of all these Spore Crawlers, that's going to be just so much additional DPS to take that out. But as we take a look and see, all that ground army for Hyun getting completely demolished, and now all that there is left to speak of that carnage is a few Hydras and the Vipers. So here we go, White Rock going for the counterattack. Hyun meanwhile remaxing out, this time going back to the Void, to the Ultralisk, getting 8 of them out, plus Hydras, getting the Greater Spire as well. So we might see, guys, we might see Broodlords. Guys, we might see, it's kind of funny to think about where we're at a point of Heart of the Swarm where we're saying, hey, you know what, we might see Infestors, we might see Broodlords. We actually might see those units. I never really thought that there was going to be a day like that, but here we go, another yank, beautiful job catching some of these units, trying to micro his best way possibly back, takes out another Void Ray, but has to go on back. There's a lot of charge loss that are helping out right now, engage on the low ground, but with the Ultralisk, that should nullify that charge loss advantage, and that's going to allow for a little bit more of a comfortable engagement. The Hydras, of course, are going to be that main anti-air unit, but he's got to make sure he's got to utilize them and keep them alive, or the Ultralisk are going to be completely vulnerable. Beautiful yank right there, catching another one of those, loses the 5th hatchet, but you know what, I think Hyun's going to be happy with that. He's like, hey, I got Ultras, I've got Vipers now. I've got 23 hydros on its way. I got a very comfortable and viable composition at the moment that I could utilize. I've got a lot of energy on my Viper, so I'll be able to abduct at my pace. Beautiful feedback by White Row right there. Takes one of those Vipers out before I could even yank it. Trying to get into another good position. Oh, beautiful feedback right there. Catching a couple of those as well. Really low HP on one of the Vipers, but again, he just needs... Why Ross still needs to be very in control of this game. He needs to make sure he's got everything that he necessarily needs. Meanwhile, on the backside over here for third hatch, getting harassed by some of the zealots, but will be able to get cleared out. And finally, it looks like both players will be able to stabilize. What a freaking fun game, man. This is actually really awesome. I'm really enjoying this PvZ, completely breaking the mold in regards to typical standard play that we used to see in Wings of Liberty. We're seeing a Hydralisk used, we're seeing Ultralisk used, and Vipers as well, of course, utilizing some of the new units. Meanwhile, Charge Lot Void Ray Stalker, which is not always seen. Beautiful yanks right there on the backside, taking out a lot of these units out front. Is there storm capability? Yes, there is. Throws down a couple storms, but I think there's just maybe way too much Hyun, guys. It looks like it's going to happen. I think there's just way too much Hyun at the moment. Now rolling in with the Hydras and the Ultralisks over to the fourth base of White Raws. White Raw down to 100 supply. Going to be even less after he loses this base and probably almost all of these probes as well. And as we see, yep, completely getting DPS down and doused. White Raw losing the fourth base. Calling it GG, well played, guys. And this best of 9 is tied up at 3-3. Check that out. Alright. So, let me update all the scores and statistics. Guys, if you guys got any questions, feel free to let me know about me, about these guys, about the series, etc., etc. So, again, this is a best of 9 show match between White Raw and Quantic Hyun. It is organized by SC2TV.ru. It's sponsored by Place4.pro, a big esports online store, so be able to sure and check them out. What else? I don't know. Follow me on Twitter. There we go. Twitter.com/GSetLogic, or click that little birdie icon in the info tab. Для моих русских зрителей, привет всем пикарям. Спасибо, что вы поддерживаете и смотрите моего английского комментария. Надеюсь, вы наслаждаетесь. Как обычно, добавляйте на Vkontakte и на Twitter. So, if you guys got any music requests during the breaks, feel free to let me know. It looks like we're probably going to end up going the distance, guys. It's tied up 3-3 at the moment, so at least we're going to go to the 8th games. So don't go anywhere. Put on a little bit extra music. Do that thing. And then, yeah, continue on with the show match. Yes, we'll go with this song.
My friend, where's that pretty girl you used to bring here? How is she doing?
I was muted. You are completely correct. No, actually, that was actually me working my mime. That was actually me working my mime. Just over here at the top, right side of the map, working that. So, anyways, let's try that one more time. Over here in Coral City at the 12 o'clock, we do have the Special Tactics Protoss. It is White Raw. Indeed, it is tied up against his opponent, 3-3 at the moment. At the bottom right, at the 3 o'clock bottom right side of the map, it is Quantix Hyun. Ignore that TSL. It is Quantix at the moment. So here we go, guys. Game number 7 underway. We've actually seen almost everything and anything in the show match in the PvZ that you could ask for. Game number 1 with White Raw starting off with Sky Toss. Game number 2 where we watched Hyun go into Hydra Ling Viper, and which showed us really good games in that regards. Then we watched White Raw hitting a good gateway push. Then we watched Swarm Host games, which was actually really neat. That one on Star Station where Hyun tried to go 2-base Swarm Host, and he had like a mass of them. I think about 16 to 17 outside of White Raw's base, and then White Raw really couldn't move out and didn't know what to do. And eventually, because he fortunately was able to sneak out a probe and got an Nexus at the bottom right, recalled at the bottom, and forced a base trade situation. And just due to lack of Hyun's economy, eventually was able to, with good control, eventually crippled him. Now, this is a lot of early aggression again, as we saw from Hyun. Going to try to do something right here. Unfortunately, White Raw is up to his scouting par and has already a pylon and a gate in place. The cannon should finish up here momentarily, which should be more than enough time to force Hyun to go back. Again, not too big of an investment for him, but with the 2 lings out of the way, oh, he actually even puts down a pylon, going to block the hatchery for the time being. So beautiful play by White Raw, able to defend the early pool play from Hyun. Sorry, I kind of got distracted there at the moment trying to figure everything else out. Hyun kind of in a little bit of a troublesome situation. He's going to have to expand here really fast, and going to not only have to expand but be able to pull something out. He's got to basically pull the rabbit out of the hat at this point. I mean, it's going to be very hard to deal with White Raw, especially having that in-base Nexus freely. Doesn't have to worry about anything or deal with anything. He's going to be able to macro up just fine, most likely, assuming with this type of map. If you guys haven't played on Coral City, it's kind of a weird, interesting little layout. He's got a miniature ramp, in a sense, a little bit bigger than the normal ramp that we typically see, but with a good wall off, he should be fine. Within inside his main base, he does also have an expansion that he could utilize. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that 2v2 map guy of the Citadel or whatever. It kind of reminds me of that, just a tiny bit in regards to the in-base expansion. To get the third, you do have to walk a little bit out of the distance, and you're kind of exposed, if you want to call it. So I would assume White Raw right now is going to go some kind of 2-base build, and if I had to assume what kind of type of build that White Raw is probably going to go for, it is Sky Toss, one of his favorite styles. And hell, why not? Before Oracles, or maybe, I mean, again, I'm not guaranteeing that they're going to get nerfed, but hey, before most likely Oracles or Void Rays get nerfed, hey, why not utilize them in this situation? This would be one of those things where I'd love to see maybe something like a double Stargate Oracle build or something like that, just to kind of see how much damage you could actually output, and basically you could even focus down a hatchery if you tried. So overall, Hyun at this point just trying to recover. He's got a good contain on the outside, no chance that really White Raw can walk out comfortably and be able to get any scouting information, so everything's going to have to come through the air at the moment. Hyun, meanwhile, grabbing his third hatch as well, so just getting his natural up as well as 6 minutes, and that's the kind of a little bit of the concern at the moment, just the lack of queens, the lack of economy that Hyun's going to have, and that's kind of the sacrifice that happens when you try to go for an early type of playstyle where that type of early aggression with lings, and they can't get on in there. So it happens. No big deal. Yeah, I'm still stuttering. I'm still kind of having my issues at the moment, but hell, with 3.5 hours of sleep, it's not too bad of a deal, I don't think. White Raw getting a robotics spade down, getting another gateway. It's been really interesting because it still throws me off at the moment, like still broadcasting HOTS. Yeah. Like I keep saying, like I didn't expect to cast HOTS until the actual game release, and until some more of the smaller tournaments and stuff like that to get used to it. But this is kind of fun, being able to cast a show match, getting thrown into the deep end. As we take a look at the statue of Minx, That bastard. Um, Yeah, and at this point, we might just see out a White Rod and Immortal Sentry ability. Oh yeah, we are. Wow, White Rod going old school, pulling out the Wings of Liberty build at the moment. So skipping the Observer, and just going straight for the Immortal. And now this actually should be really interesting to watch and see how Protoss players actually do this type of build, because I feel as though it actually has the capability to show just as much strength, if not more, because of the Mothership Core and the Time Warp ability. But again, it all just goes back to theory crafting. Hyun, meanwhile, on the outside still has the Lynx kind of sort of position on the outskirts. He's got a couple Overlords also on the backside over here, but hasn't floated them on in there, which he probably should have really soon, because if he doesn't see these Immortals coming out really soon and all these additional gateways getting added, he could be in a little bit of trouble. Now, Hyun, meanwhile, on the backside, still just kind of droning up at the moment, getting 7 additional drones, getting his Roach worn out right now, getting his lair. Speed's about 1/4 of the way done. And if White Raw moves out right now, I don't know if Hyun's going to actually realistically be able to hold. He's already losing several of his initial lings. And again, every little unit count, guys, that you guys might say, well, it's a couple lings. Well, in regards to composition and how much DPS and surround that they could get into, it could really help out. And Hyun actually just repositioning himself right here on the outskirts to maybe even catch some of the trailing units if he possibly could. Forward pylon getting placed. White Raw is already across the map on the other side. Got to be very careful with this control as well. And some of the lings over here getting taken out. Now White Raw with the forward warp in should be able to put a lot of pressure. Hyun already putting down the time warp before even any units get over to there, trying to get down these spine crawlers before they form. Beautiful micro right there overall, or better anything else. Beautiful decision making. All the drones starting to get pulled. Beautiful time warps right there, guys. And this is what I was talking about. Look at how trapped these units are right here. They actually have no capability to get through there. Of course, some of the micro involved. He's got to get out of that time warp to be able to handle this. Hyun doing actually a pretty damn good job handling this and holding this off, but in regards to losing so much, he's already lost a few. He's lost a few roaches. He lost some of his economy that he's pulled off the main mineral line. He's losing an Evo chamber, so no spore crawlers for him if he even wanted to put them down. I don't know what kind of weight they're going to hold. I don't know what kind of weight in regards to what kind of regards they're going to actually be able to hold off. Be able to hold off against a gateway army push like that, but hell, whatever works, right? White Raw's got to be a little bit careful and cautious. There's quite a few lings out on the map, so if he gets a good surround, there's still a slight chance for Hyun, but I feel as soon as White Raw supply blocks himself, he should be able to get a nice little forward warp in. Putting up the wall right now, putting that pylon right here, making sure no counterattack can come to him. He needs warp-ins now. He needs warp-ins now, and he needs to put an attack, because the longer he waits, the more time Hyun's going to have to be able to produce enough units to be able to push this back and hold this off. But here we go, coming on forward. He's got a good amount of sentries with a lot of energy. Force field's coming on up there. Good time warp ability right there, taking out some of the units at the front, and I think maybe White Rod just has more than enough to push this back. He has lost a couple of the stalkers, but as we see, look at that time warp ability, catching some of those units really on the backside of it, catching even a queen, taking out the Overseer. 2 mortals still alive, 3 stalkers on the backside getting included as well. The Mothership Core is still well and alive, and now he's going up into the main and the natural, and this is not a position where you want to find yourself, because now at this point all really White Raw has to do is just continually force field off the rest of these units, or even at this point almost kind of troll him in a sense where he just lets one unit walk up at a time right through that little miniature choke area, and there we go, another force field getting placed to cut off the rest of the army. And now Hyun's dropping under supply and under 60, and at this point, just like the typical Immortal Sentry all in, forcing the Zergs to typically GG, and that's going to do it for game number 7, having White Raw with a 4-3 lead in this best of 9. So yay, awesome stuff. It's actually pretty good, because we're getting I don't know how you guys are, but whenever, like, at least when I'm broadcasting, unless it's like a very stale metagame, like say if it was like a PvP or something like that, Wings of Liberty PvP, I typically want it to go the distance, man. I'm rooting for both players to force it kind of to go the distance, get as much content, get as many games out there. Because literally almost every single game has been different from each player in regards to final compositions. We look at the overall game style and play. Not one game has really been that similar to the other. Maybe the Daybreak game and the Akalon Flats game would probably be the closest thing as we could, but again, we also saw Ultralisks included in some of the late game composition that the Zerg can pull out, so Overall, though, solid play by White Raw right there with the Immortal Sentry all in, bringing back some of that Wings of Liberty flavor and more than enough to take down Hyun in that game. So, White Raw going to be sitting one game away from taking the series 5-3. And Hyun, of course, is going to have to go back to back to be able to take this show match. Again, winner makes $100. So, as well, give a big shout out to sc2tv.ru. Check them out, a very fun portal to be at. One of my main streaming portals for my Russian viewers. Big hearts to you guys. And as well, a big shout out to Place4.pro. Check out their online store. It is in Russian. I think there might be an English version of the website as well, where you guys could get all sorts of keyboards from anywhere. I mean, whether it's Steel Series, Zoe, Razer, whatever you guys, they have it. Mice, keyboards, headsets, mouse pads, accessories, attire, stuff like that. So be sure to check them out, and especially give them a big shout out and thanks for dropping that good old $100 for these players in this show match. So yeah. Other than that, we're going to take a quick break before we go to game number 4. I'm sorry, to game number 8. Number 4, my butt. We're going to game number 8, yo. So hang tight, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Other than that, continuing the Calvin Harris. Bum, 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 bum. Alright, there we go. We are in lobby, guys. We're just waiting for the players to get set. Looks like Hyun is ready, waiting for the confirm from the White Raw himself. And he said, good immortal push, TTOP. Oh, Hyun, so funny. Well, I mean, it's good to see that, you know, there's still things that work in Heart of the Swarm as well as Wings of Liberty. Some of the builds still work and are able to be utilized, so good to see the Immortal Sentry still works. I think Parting's actually probably going to be the happiest out of everybody in regards to that, and probably will figure out some way to make that even stronger than before. But here we go, guys, going into game number 8, and we're going to be on Howling Peaks. Howling Peak. I don't know how I feel about this. I don't know, this is not one of my favorite maps, but we'll get into that in just a second. So, starting down here, guys, at the bottom left side of the map, down 3-4, needing to get back-to-back games to take this show match. It is the Quantic Zerg. It is Hyun, the baller nerd himself. Now, when we were talking earlier with all his different types of results and everything else that's going on to him, he also had some additional results in major tournaments towards the end of 2012. He played in the GGA, which he got first and beat Revival 3-0. He just played recently in the MSI Pro Cup Worldwide as well, which was first place as well when he beat Scarlet. He got he kind of had a little bit of an unfortunate thing happen to him because with TSL disbanding, he was teamless for about a month starting from January 3rd of this year, but eventually Quantic did pick him up in regards to February 1st, and everybody knows that story with Quantic. They disbanded with some of the management and stuff that was going on over there, but eventually having that merger with It's Gosu and Fornot was able to eventually reinstate itself into the scene and able to pick up a good amount of players. I mean, they got what? They got Hyun, they got Seo Hyun, they got a Apocalypse, I think I want to say, and of course, I mean I feel like they got one more Korean player, and then of course they got their foreigner side where they've got Glon, they've got some of the CSL stars and some of the NAGMs like Masson from Georgia Tech, they've got Ostagy from Western Ontario, so they got a pretty damn packed roster. So regardless, Hyun's gonna have to really pull out some strong play, gonna have to be really on top of his game to beat his opponent, who's located on the top right side of the map in the red trunks. Everybody knows him as a special tactics Protoss. It is White Raw. Now, White Raw, one of the TTE Sports representatives, has been traveling a lot, has been doing a lot of show matches, kind of been for the past year really more of an ambassador for SC2 than anything else, and starting to work his way back into the hot scene. Most of his results, again, like we talked about earlier, did come in the 2010-2011 season, of course, most famously. One of the most famously known results, winning IPL in 2. He had a pretty good showing at IPL 3. He had some early NASL appearances, Dream Hacks, stuff like that. Been to a couple of MLGs as well. Kind of got into that mid 30s to top 16 range, if I'm not mistaken. Played a couple cups as well. So more than anything else, he's been really more of an icon coming out from Brood War. Everybody loves him, and just you can't hate on him, man. You can't hate on him. He's a good guy. Been very well mannered. I met him personally at IPL 4 earlier in 2012. Really awesome dude. Can gamble his heart out, man. Can drink and can gamble his heart out, but overall, just a solid showing from him. And I'm hoping this is going to be the time where HOTS comes out, and this is going to be sort of his comeback as a player to see what kind of style he does put out. Already, most people do know him for most people know him for kind of the sky toss. So we'll see if he utilizes that and figures out the best way to push that out. Other than that, in regards to Hyun's showing us all sorts of different stuff. He showed us today Ling Hydra, he's showing us Hydra Viper with Ling, he's showing us Ultralisk Hydra Viper, a lot of Hydra compositions. We've seen a couple of games where he's gone, actually just one game where he's gone Swarm Host, one game where he's gone Infestor as well. And it's kind of funny to even talk about it remotely, but he's only gone one game Mutas, he's gone one game Infestors, one game Mutas. He hasn't gone any games of Broodlords, so it's interesting. It's interesting. It's not something that you typically would be used to. So over here on the backside, Hyun trying to hack away at the rocks. Of course, with these destructible rocks, the rock tower. As soon as he's able to break that down, that's going to fold on over. That's going to create a little bit of a wall for Hyun for the time being, which of course helps out in regards to if White Rod decides to go some kind of a really quick attack. Barricades his third off for the time being, or at least gives them enough time to react. Mothership core underway, of course, for Protoss. That's all. Not only a good attacking unit, well, not an attacking unit, sorry, a good spellcaster unit in regards to time warp and what it could do, and recalls. But overall, in the early portions of the game, very effective towards Lings and preventing them from getting really a lot of harass done. And as we've seen, White Raw more than anything else has used really the Mothership core for getting his early third. Lings try to want to harass that and prevent that from happening, but because they can't reach that unit or be able to attack it with roaches or Lings, it tends to be more of an advantage for the Protoss player. So here we go over on the other side over to the third, bringing over the Stalker and the Zealot. And he's going to try to surround the Stalker, in which he might have a little bit of success, but he's got to be very careful how he micros this out of the way. The Zealot comes out of that choke point, and now with 2 queens and enough Lings, should be able to force the Stalker back home. And with the Mothership core, with the Mothership core on the Stalker, you should be able to micro against the Lings. I just wouldn't bank on it really against 2 queens and the Lings as well. So just has to be very, very careful how he controls everything. Everything does come down to micro at this point. Now on the backside, it looks like White Raw is going to be committing over